put the spotlight on the latest updates in different aspects. And of course, we're going to be focusing on the current war between the United States and Iran. We begin with the fact that Egypt expressed its hope to reach a final agreement between the United States and Iran. In a foreign ministry statement, Egypt expressed its full satisfaction with the announcement by the U.S. President Donald Trump of the cancellation of the military strikes that were scheduled to be carried out against Iran last night. Egypt said it hoped the available opportunity will be seized to reach a deal on the various outstanding issues and to prepare the atmosphere for reaching an end to the war and begin a new phase of regional stability. In this regard, we're going to be speaking to the political analyst Mohamed Salah. Good evening to you, Mr. Mohamed.
You and to all our followers today, and I'm very happy to be with you at this very important news to be discussed with you at this time.
We're honored to have you with us on Nile TV International, sir. As you know, Egypt expressed its hope that the United States and Iran will reach a full agreement on finally ending the war. However, Tehran said it had not reached a final decision on a deal to end the Middle East war, despite the U.S. President Donald Trump claiming an agreement could be signed in days and canceling threatened strikes on Iran. How close are we actually to a final agreement?
What I'd like to say is that we are not in the front of a final agreement that ends the reasons of this war in general, but we are on a very early discussion or a very early agreement, which could be a step forward against ending this agreement between both sides regarding many differences in many issues, such as Iranian nuclear system, such as Iranian missiles, ballistic missiles, and other missions between Iran and Shia groups in the Middle East, such as Hezbollah, such as Al-Hashd al-Sha'bi in Iraq, such as Al-Houthi in Yemen. So all of these issues and all of these differences hadn't been done till now. We don't know well what are the final decisions regarding all of these disagreements between Iran and the United States of America. We do not know well how these differences or how these issues will be ended. But at the same time, we have to welcome the decision of both sides from Iran and from the United States of America to end war actions and to use diplomatic way in order to solve all of these problems and to reach agreements or to reach a compromise regarding all of these issues in general.
Right. Mr. Mohammed, Iran insisted on Friday on its right to enrich uranium and maintain control over the Strait of Hormuz. Now, regarding the enriched uranium, also Netanyahu said in a statement that there is a full agreement between him and President Donald Trump that Iran will never have nuclear weapons. How are they going to fix the dilemma between Iran enriching uranium and insisting on its right to do that, and the Israeli side insisting that Iran should never have enriched uranium or nuclear weapons?
Let me say or to discuss this question in light of not of many reasons or in light of many ideas. The first idea is that all this chaos that we are dealing with, whether we are talking about chaos in economy, chaos in political system, all of this chaos is a result for a non-strategic war that have been done by the United States of America. They do not have real plans or real ideas for the end of this war. They thought that they will bomb Iran or they will have some attacks against Iran, and then the Iranian regime will collapse. And this what hadn't happened for this period of time. So the question is how all of us will end the war, and this is the first problem. The second problem or the second reason is that Iran hadn't declared that it had the desire to own a nuclear weapon. We are not talking about a nuclear weapon. We are talking about a nuclear system, about this system which will be used for producing electricity in general to serve development in Iran. It's about gaining or achieving or owning a nuclear weapon. So Iran has achieved that they have the desire to own a nuclear weapon, to say that they have denied this or will not do this in the future, because it's not their desire at the first. The third is about the hidden goals of this war. We do not know well what are the hidden goals of this war for the American side and the Israeli side in general. And the last important issue, or the last important note that we have to keep in mind, is that President Trump haven't to speak with Benjamin Netanyahu before signing or before declaring peace process or reaching a deal with the Iranian side. I think that we are now in the way of finalizing this war, or finally a quit from the military actions. As we have known, it is the main result, or the main result from what happened at the last attacks, last final days, is that going or beginning war will not achieve, or will not give any part of them or any side of them to achieve these goals. So I'd like to say that it's a way to end this war. It's a way to have a victory. It's a way to have an acceptable way to end this war for both sides, whether in America or in Iranian side, and also about the Israeli side at the same time.
Right. Mr. Mohammed, thank you for your insights about the enriched uranium part. There's also the other part, which is maintaining control over the Strait of Hormuz under any deal with the United States. That is Iran's statement. It insists on that. If we fix the enriched uranium kind of dilemma, if the United States and Iran find a deal in this regard, what's going to happen in regard of the Strait of Hormuz? Is Iran going to stay in control? Is the United States going to allow that? What's going to happen in this navigation route?
What I would like to say is that the main goals of this agreement, or this agreement between Iran and the United States of America, is two main issues. The first is ending the war actions, and this is the first. And the second goal is reopening Strait of Hormuz for naval analysis or naval schools as it was before the war in general. So they are the main goals from both sides. Regarding the future of the Iranian control upon the Strait of Hormuz, this will be discussed or decided upon many parameters we do not know well about how good they will be getting their dollars or their own economic sanctions that will be left upon the Iranian side, and this will give them many times or many amounts of dollars to reopen or to rebuild Iran from this war. And the second is about the cooperation between the Iranian side and the American side regarding the oil resources in Iran. And the third is about the relations between Iran and China and Russia. And the fourth about the relations between Iran and the Shia groups in the Middle East. All of these parameters will give us a conclusion or a final conclusion regarding the future, not only about the Iranian future, but about the future in the Middle East in general. Because this war is really ended or dragged into rebuilding another regional system, and one of the outputs of these negotiations will be the new regional system that will lead the Middle East in the coming few years.
Right. So say that we have actually reached an agreement, and we reach a new regional system that is hopefully standing on stability and dialogue and diplomacy. Will actually Israel abide by the U.S.-Iran agreement, especially that Israel has a long history of violating ceasefires, violating agreements, violating international laws? We only can look now at the 950 Palestinians killed since the ceasefire that was brokered by the U.S. President Donald Trump. Is Israel going to abide by the U.S.-Iran agreement?
Regarding the agreement between Iran and United States of America, I think Israel will not be able to make these actions against Iran again. Let me say that Israel can do this action or this attack against Iran without support, whether this support were military, whether this support were intelligence, whether this support were logistics and other medias. So I think that Israel alone can't attack Iran at the same time or to violate the agreement between Iran and the United States of America. The second important note we have to keep in mind also is that the American side is looking for a quit from this war because they are really pressed by many economic problems that have been arising on the internal community in America about domestic economic problems that have been achieved. I think we have listened yesterday about the inflation rate that has been raised 0.5%. So all of these actions will not help the Republicans in general and President Trump about the coming elections in coming November. So I think that we have many reasons for the United States of America to say that not to accept the Israelis to violate this agreement. I think they also will oblige them to commit or to be committed with the ceasefire in Lebanon. I think America will have a strong power against the Israelis in order to end this war because it's not a benefit for the United States of America. Really, they have lots of problems and they wanted to quit out of this because of many reasons such as domestic situation and the coming or the next elections, and in addition to the World Cup which is going now in America nowadays.
Right. On a final note, Mr. Mohamed, how do you see Egypt's statement today, which urges the U.S. and Iran to seize an opportunity for a peace deal, especially that Egypt, throughout the entirety of the war, has been consistent with its stances, which is diplomacy, dialogue, and bringing the parties to the table to find an agreement and negotiating?
I think that Egypt is believing in peace, and it's not a words to say only, or it's not about nonsense speeches delivered by the Egyptian responsible men. But I think it's a strong desire from the Egyptian side that any problem and any struggle could be solved via dialogue or via diplomatic dialogue. We have to negotiate with each other in order to reach a shared benefits, in order to reach a peaceful solution for all the problems. This is the belief of the Egyptian leadership, and this is where we've done or we're shared many times before by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. So you will find Egypt is accepting or welcoming any agreement or to reaching any agreement regarding any regional problems or any regional issues, whether between Iran and the United States of America, whether between Israel and any of our neighbors. And let me say also that having this peaceful deal will will serve our Arab national security, especially for our Gulf countries in Gulf area, Arab countries in Gulf area. Also will have the national security of Egypt itself. So Egypt is welcoming these agreements or welcoming these speeches from both sides. Strong belief of peace, and the second is to serve or to save the regional national security and the domestic national security in general. I think these are the goals of the Egyptian state to welcome this agreement between Iran and the United States of America.
Mr. Mohamed Salah, the political analyst, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being with us on Nile TV International, giving us your insights on the latest updates regarding the U.S.-Iran war and their trials to reach a final agreement and a ceasefire. This was the latest right now in this special edition. Stay tuned for more, and thank you for watching Nile TV International.